Well, there's a gem in the Karoo for petrolheads, but very few people know about this. Several cars and trucks dating back to the turn of the last century are being housed at the small Karoo town of Loxton in the Northern Cape. All of them are still in good working condition and are still able to drive and shoot. Our reporter, that's Ulrich Hendricks, is there.
Today we at the Loxton Lodge and Truck Museum, and it might look like a scrapyard to you, but with some loving care and a couple of bucks, some of these cars will be restored to their former glory. I can see a number of cars here, like this one. It looks like a 60s Jaguar, but after, like I said, like a couple of rounds of loving care, they will be restored. Well, to talk to about the cars and some of the interesting trucks that we have here is Wits Roots. He's of course the manager here of the museum. Tell us, Wits, some interesting finds that you have here.
I think, it's an absolute privilege, first of all, to be the manager of Loxton Lodge and Truck Museum. And we meet so many interesting people that want to come and just have a look at the trucks and the Second World War vehicles that we do have. Some of them exceptionally unique and exceptionally unique to South Africa, because they were used in the in the Second World War. South Africans fought in the Second World War, and the vehicles were used, and a Spitfire, for example, were very prominent in those days. And that is why it's an absolute privilege to be able to look after these vehicles, take tourists around, and explain the uniqueness of what we have. And I believe we really have some very unique things.
So take us through some of these unique things. Of course, we don't just have these ones that are in need of restoration. If we have a martial law, that looks like a bit of a Jeep truck.
Yeah, that's a Land Rover. I'm not sure of the year model. I think about a 1968. But as you can see, it's a long wheelbase, and it's also got a much longer tailgate. So. Yes, it's one of the vehicles that we are looking to restore, and I believe Mr. Kevin Langeveld, who owns most of the vehicles, together with Ron Selly, have done a wonderful job in looking to restore vehicles for the interest of other people.
But some unique vehicles here as well, like you mentioned, some of them did duty during some of the wars, like the Second World War. If you can see, there's a tank that I believe also took part in the 6-Day War.
That's 100% correct. This particular truck that we're standing at right now is a GMC, which is obviously General Motors Corporation. It's a 6-wheel drive, and was very unique in its building and being used during the war. So, as you rightly pointed out, we've got an armored car there, which was used in the 6-Day War, and a vehicle in the front, which I'll show you again in a minute, is the Ale, and the Ale was very unique, built by the Israelis. And the armored car and the Ale, the Israelis used in the 6-Day War, as I said, and then the Palestinians and the Israelis used the same vehicles to fight each other. It's quite unique.
Yeah, quite interesting. So what does it take to restore some of these vehicles? Some of them, like you said, it's quite unique, so it must be difficult to get the parts for them.
Yes, it is sometimes very difficult, and we surf the internet quite a lot to have a look-see. A lot of the parts are available in America, for example, and you can buy them on eBay. And the owners of the vehicles themselves, it's their passion to share their knowledge of vehicles with other people, and so they hunt and look for the parts that they require.
And these vehicles are not just for show. Most of them, or most of them actually are, you can just get in, turn the switch and off you go.
Most of the vehicles are in running order. There's unfortunately one or two that are now just museum exhibits, being damaged or whatever. But yes, as long as they're standing here, they have some significance in people's lives. And we had visitors last night from protective services that were at the SKA, and they were astonished at the vehicles that we have here. So it was nice to hear and to see that people know the vehicles, and sometimes even know it better than we do. But yes, and had been part of the war as well.
And of course, like you said, some people coming here, so it must be a tourist attraction as well.
It's become a very big tourist attraction for Loxton itself, and it's by word of mouth that a lot of people come. One person comes, has a look at the vehicles, loves what he saw, sends through photographs to a friend on WhatsApp or whatever, and the next thing, I've got a phone call, and yes, we get people booking in and wanting to come and have a tour of all the vehicles we have.
Thanks, Wits. Of course, this was what piqued my interest when I first came to the truck museum. This is, of course, the armored vehicle that Wits was referring to earlier. Just a bit of history on this. Where did you find this?
I'm not quite sure where they found this particular vehicle. A lot of them were found here in South Africa and in Namibia. And it's just wonderful if you have a look at the vehicle, that the small space that it has for people to climb in and sit and fight in them. But this particular one, I'm not sure of the year model, but very unique, was used by the Israelis, as I said, and then obviously the Palestinians, they somehow got hold of the vehicles themselves, and they were fighting each other with the same armored car.
This is quite interesting, Wits. And of course, you're always looking for more. Some of them you find in a field, on a farm, in the middle of nowhere.
That's quite correct, yes. As I said earlier, on one of the vehicles that we're rebuilding down there, it's totally tarnished, but we've got the doors, we've got everything. We found the engine now in Poland, and we'll be getting the engine across from Poland sometime or other, and then refurbishing that particular vehicle.